2, 1. Yo, what's going on, guys? Your boy TJ Pedro, and I'm back with another video. And today we are going to be discussing who my favorite players are on every single MLB team. Now, I did see Fuzzy do this. I did see Draftneck Mark do this. Go watch their videos. I got the inspiration from them, but I'm going to be doing a little twist on it. They only listed one player. I'm going to be giving you one pitcher and one position player from every team. So comment down below who your favorite pitchers and who's your favorite position players are on your, we'll just say your favorite team. I don't want the comments to be humongous, so just who's your favorite pitcher and who's your favorite position player on your favorite team, and list who your favorite team is down below. And without further ado, like the video if you enjoy this concept and you want MLB news and MLB content. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like the video so that we can get this channel growing, and let's just get right into it. So why don't we start off with my favorite team, the New York Yankees. My favorite position player, Mike Ford. Now, some of you guys might be like, why the hell is Mike Ford your favorite player? Well, it's because me and my cousin, what's up Jordan, we went to a Yankee game against the Cleveland Indians, and the Yankees got smacked. I think in that game Yasiel had a home run, my boy, but yeah, but then the Yankees did not want to waste out the bullpen on a game that's already out of reach. So they threw Mike Ford onto the mound, and he started throwing heaters. He was throwing Ched. He was throwing 89 with a 72 changeup. Like, he had a pitch mix. It was really fun to watch him pitch. And so that's why ever since then, it's been an inside joke between me and my cousin. It's not really an inside joke anymore, that he is the GOAT. So Mike Ford is my favorite player on my favorite team, the New York Yankees. Now for my favorite pitcher on the Yankees, it's probably going to be Aroldis Chapman. And the reason is because we both got the same blood. We got that Cuban blood in us. And, you know, he also throws Ched. He's been helping us out a ton since he's come over via trade. Man, you can't get enough of Chappie. Alright, so we have finished one team. We are on two. And again, this is in no particular order. We will do the Cleveland Indians here. And for my favorite position player on that team, it will be Francisco Lindor. Man, that smile, it's just infectious. Mr. Smile always seems like he's having a great time out on the field. And he always seems to bring life to the game. So Francisco Lindor is my favorite position player on that team. And for my favorite overall pitcher, it would probably have to be Carlos Carrasco. Cookie. Mans came back from a lot last year, battling leukemia, and Mans came back and he pitched. That takes a lot of willpower. I've had some struggles in my life, so I can relate to him. So Cookie is my favorite pitcher on the Cleveland Indians. Next up is the Baltimore Orioles, and my favorite position player, probably going to have to be Trey Mancini, because, you know, there's really not much to like about this team. I mean, I don't know even if there's a pitcher I will be able to choose, but I'm going to try. But yeah, Trey Mancini seems like he's the only acceptable choice in this regard. He's the only, like, relevant player. So Trey Mancini is my favorite position player. And for the pitcher, you know what? I think I'm going to go... You know what? I'm trying to see if he is still a member of this team. If the player I am thinking of is still Yes, he is. So Alex Cobb is going to be my favorite pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. He's been a journeyman. He's gone around the league for a while. So he's the only pitcher that really came off the top of my head with that team. So there you go. Alex Cobb and Trey Mancini are my two favorites for them. Now for the rival Boston Red Sox. For the Boston Red Sox, my favorite player will have to go to Xander Bogaerts. He is an underrated shortstop in this league. Is probably he's a top 30 player in the MLB. Always seems like he has the ability to go off at any given moment. He's also from Aruba, which is close to Cuba. Shout out to Central America. So yeah, Xander Bogaerts is my favorite position player from the Red Sox. And for the favorite regular pitcher, for the pitcher, I'll probably have to go Chris Sale. I mean, man has done work for the past few years. Last year was the first year he really dipped off. We're going to have to see if he comes back from that. But he's done work, I have to admit, over his career. So Chris Sale is my favorite pitcher from the Boston Red Sox. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Rays, and my favorite position player for the Rays is Ji-Man Choi. He is fun to watch. He's got that Choi shuffle going. He's another one like Lindor. He just looks like he brings a lot of life to that team, and he just seems like a pretty fun guy to chill with. So Ji-Man Choi is my favorite position player. And for the pitchers, I'm going to have to go with Blake Snell. Man's a gamer. I'm a gamer. I think that's pretty cool that he streams on Twitch. So Blake Snell and Ji-Man Choi are my favorite players from the Rays. Next up, we have the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto Blue Jays, I'm going to have to go with Vlad Guerrero Jr. as my favorite position player. That home run derby he had really gained a lot of respect for me, even though he lost in that. He hit the most home runs. He was the true champion of that home run derby. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is my favorite position player on the Blue Jays. And for regular pitchers, I'm going to have to go with Ken Giles, because of the moment where Gary Sanchez hit a home run off of him and he decided to punch himself across the face. But it wasn't even like a normal, like, what are you doing, like, slap on yourself. He, like, broke his jaw with how he punched himself across the face. I always go back to that when I'm mad at things. So Ken Giles, 100 Mile Giles, is my pick for the Blue Jays. Next up, we have the Chicago White Sox. Now, my favorite position player has to be Tim Anderson. Those bat flips are so sick that he does. That one against Kansas City, man, that was legendary. Tim Anderson, another one that just brings life to the field. So he's my favorite position player. And for the pitchers, I'm probably going to have to go with Alex Colomé, because I've seen him pitch against the Yankees while he was with the Tampa Bay Rays. He is a nasty guy to go up against. So Alex Colomé is my favorite pitcher for the team. Tim Anderson, my favorite position player for the White Sox. Next up, we have got the Detroit Tigers. My favorite player on the Detroit Tigers is Austin Romine, former Yankee. Gotta respect it. I mean, Miguel Cabrera's there, but I don't know how this dynamic's gonna work, because I don't know if you guys remember a few years back, Austin Romine and Miguel Cabrera got into a fist fight. They were going at it that day. Romine came in with a push. Cabrera came in and tried to Glock him across the face. And now they're on the same team together. But just for respect of what he's done for the New York Yankees, Austin Romine is my favorite position player. And my favorite pitcher on the Detroit Tigers is Matthew Boyd. He just seems like he has a lot of promise going into his age 30 season. I think he's going to be a great pitcher next season. And yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about the Tigers. They're not that good. So Austin Romine, my favorite position player. Good luck to you out there. And Matthew Boyd is my favorite pitcher. Moving on, we are going to the Kansas City Royals. Now, my favorite position player on the Kansas City Royals is Jorge Soler. Man hits dingers. And he's from Cuba. And he's a glitch in MLB The Show. Man's is just an all-around G. Jorge Soler is my favorite position player on this team. And my favorite pitcher is... Man, there's really not many options. Probably going to have to go with Trevor Rosenthal, another guy who is a journeyman around the league. I liked what he did out in St. Louis. So Trevor Rosenthal. I said Ken Rosenthal. Trevor Rosenthal is my pick for the pitcher. So Jorge Soler is my favorite position player. Trevor Rosenthal is my favorite pitcher for the Kansas City Royals. Next up, we have got the Minnesota Twins. Now, my favorite position player for this team is going to be Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz, another guy who hits dingers. He's been around for a while. I respect this guy's game so much. Man, still rocking, almost 40 years old. Nelson Cruz is my favorite position player. And for the pitchers, I'm probably going to have to go with Jose Barrios. Jose Barrios is a big up-and-coming player. I think he's up next to be a stud in this league. He's already proven he can lead a team to the playoffs. Now he has to just prove that he can perform while in those playoffs. So, Jose Barrios and Nelson Cruz are my favorites from the Minnesota Twins. And now we are going on to the Houston Astros, the Trastros. Freaking hate this team. But if I had to choose a position player, it would probably have to be Yordan Alvarez, one of the players that was not a part of the cheating scandal in 2017. I don't know if anything happened in 2019. No one really knows. He's also from Cuba. See a trend. He's from Cuba. He's got a big chance of being my favorite on that team. Got that Cuban blood. He's also probably one of the most respectable players on this team now, knowing what we know now. So, Yordan Alvarez is my favorite position player. And for my favorite pitcher, it would probably have to go to Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke, I loved what he did out in Arizona. He's a beast. He is now going to be the second best pitcher in this rotation behind Verlander. I just don't like Verlander's arrogance. So, Zach Greinke looks like a good guy. Very underrated now because he was behind Cole and Verlander. So, Zach Greinke is my favorite on that team. Next up, we have the Los Angeles Angels, and who else is my favorite position player other than the GOAT, Mike Trout? He looks like a very fun person to be around. He is a beast on the field, can do it all, 5-tool player. He loved the Yankees growing up, grew up in Jersey. He's just an overall G. Love this guy. He is my favorite position player for the team. And for the pitchers, I'm probably going to have to go with Hansel Robles. He is my favorite because he got my friend who's a Mets fan very upset a lot. And it was very funny to watch how he would get upset at Hansel Robles, even though most of it was not Robles' fault. It's just funny to watch my friend get so uptight about this guy. So since they don't have too many options, I'm just going to go with that. Hansel Robles is my favorite pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels. Next up, we have got the Oakland Athletics. My favorite position player for them is Matt Chapman, player that can do it all. I like a player who focuses heavy on defense, and he is definitely a guy who does that. Mans is probably the second best defensive player in baseball behind another third baseman we will talk about later. Also got a little pop on his bat. Matt Chapman is my favorite position player. And for the pitchers, I'm going to have to go with my man's Mike Fiers. Yes, I think he's still on the Oakland Athletics. I think so. I could be wrong. Yes, he is. Mike Fiers is my favorite because he's the one who broke that story on the Houston Astros. Some people gave him flack for it. I tend to agree with him. He should have put this out into the media. He also had that crazy ass mustache at one point, or that mustache beard combination where it didn't really finish. It just looked funny. So Mike Fiers is my favorite pitcher. Good on him for breaking that Astros story. Screw the Astros. Next up, we have the Seattle Mariners. And my favorite player on the Seattle Mariners position player is Daniel Vogelbach. He reminds me so much of what Babe Ruth would be if he played today. He has a ton of pop, especially against righties. He's a left-handed bat, and when he runs around the bases, he just waddles around the base while he's very chubby. He just reminds me so much of what Babe Ruth would be today, except I think Babe Ruth would be a lot better. So Daniel Vogelbach, also a meme, is my favorite position player for the Seattle Mariners. And for pitchers, I'm going to have to go with Carl Edwards Jr. Carl Edwards Jr. has been a really good pitcher for the Cubs before this move to Seattle. I hope for the best for him in Seattle. I mean, they're not really going to go anywhere with this team, but I hope he has a really good season. He has been very productive, and they don't have many options at pitcher. So that's what I'm going to go with, Carl Edwards Jr. Hopefully you do well in Seattle. Next up, we have got the Texas Rangers. And for the Texas Rangers, my favorite position player, of course, is the GOAT, Joey Gallo. Man hits dingers. This guy, no matter where he plays, he's also a Gold Glove defender. He has played first base. He has played third base. All the outfield spots. He is still a quality, if not elite glove out in the outfield, along with his massive power. If he can lower those strikeout numbers, he would be an MVP candidate. Joey Gallo is my favorite position player for this team. And for my favorite pitcher, it's going to be Corey Kluber. He did a lot in Cleveland. Of course, everyone knows what my saying is. He got given up for a bag of peanuts. So, shame on the Indians for doing that. Corey Kluber is going to have a great season. He is my favorite pitcher for the Texas Rangers. Next up is the Atlanta Braves. My favorite position player for this team is Marcell Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna, I liked him all the way back while he was with Miami. He just has something about him, that charisma about him that really sets him apart. I also enjoy that he's from Alaska. I haven't seen an MLB player from Alaska other than him, which is pretty interesting. So, Marcell Ozuna, my favorite hitter for this team. And my favorite pitcher is going to be Will Smith. Will Smith did a lot in San Francisco, helped them. I think he won a championship with them. I'm not 100% sure on that. But he is a quality pitcher. I'm going to go with him. No disrespect to Ronald Acuna. Ronald Acuna would probably... You know what? I'm going to switch it. I completely blanked on Ronald Acuna. Man's pimps his home runs like crazy. He hits dingers as well, but he's also a guy who can do it all. Ronald Acuna Jr. is actually my favorite Brave right now. Now let's go on to one of the worst teams in the MLB, the Miami Marlins. As the Miami Marlins, my favorite position player is going to be Brian Anderson. I really feel bad for this guy. He is actually a really good player, but he is getting wasted out in Miami. Wasted. This guy is a good talent to have. I hope someone at the deadline sees that and they need a third baseman. They go after this guy. It might cost them a prospect or two, but he is worth it. Brian Anderson is my favorite position player, and my favorite pitcher is, they don't have many options here. I'm going to go with Ryan Stanek because I saw him pitch with Tampa Bay, and he was a pretty good pitcher for them. So Ryan Stanek is my favorite pitcher for them. Brian Anderson is my favorite position player. Now let's go on to the World Series champions, the Washington Nationals. As my favorite position player is Juan Soto. That's Soto Shuffle. Mans is another guy who just looks like he has a ton of life out on the field. He just seems like he's like the prime. I don't know how to describe it, but he just seems like he has so much life, so much pride, and he is my favorite position player for this team. And my favorite pitcher for this team is none other than Mad Max Scherzer. He has been doing work. He's like wine. He gets better with age. This man is 35, and he has it seems like he hit his prime 3 years ago, which shouldn't happen. He should start his decline, but he hasn't declined. Like, this is crazy. So, Max Scherzer, my favorite pitcher for this team. For the Mets, my favorite position player for this team is going to be Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil, I like how he's an average guy. I know that's not the theme of this video. The theme of this video is dingers, but I like to switch it up a little bit. Jeff McNeil has a fresh new system going for himself. Gets on base a ton. Massive contact hitter. And I love his charisma. Jeff McNeil is my favorite position player. And for my favorite pitcher on this team, it's got to be Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom has done work. One of the only pitchers that I could say has been better than Garrett Cole over the past 3 years. So, Jacob deGrom and Jeff McNeil are my favorite hitters for the Mets. For the Phillies, my favorite position player is JT Realmuto, the best catcher in baseball. I like how he can do it all. He can hit for contact, hit for power. He is a great fielder, the best fielding catcher we have had in a while. And he has a little bit of speed, which you don't see pretty much at all at that catcher position. So, JT Realmuto, all-around catcher, is my favorite position player. And for the starting pitchers, I'm going to go with Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola started off rough last year. I think he's going to pick it up this year. I've liked him since he came into the league. Aaron Nola is my favorite pitcher. JT Realmuto, my favorite position player. Now to the Chicago Cubs. My favorite position player is going to be Javi Baez. Javi Baez, even though Cubs fans do overrate this guy a little bit, he is a stud in this league. He is a tremendous fielder, has tremendous pop. He is just an all-around stud at the shortstop position. Javi Baez is my favorite position player. And for the pitchers, I got to go with Craig Kimbrell. Even though he pitched for Boston for like a year, I like what he did in Atlanta. He's a beast. I think he's going to keep that up if this season starts this year. Craig Kimbrell is my favorite pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. Next up, we have got the Cincinnati Reds. And for this team, my favorite position player is going to be Derek Dietrich. He pimps every home run, and it is a sight to see when he does. Man hits nukes, and the pimp is even better than the home run was. And that home run went 450 feet. That is tough to do. I also met him in Cincinnati when I met Yasiel. Really nice guy. Derek Dietrich is my favorite position player. And for my favorite pitcher, it's going to be Amir Garrett. Went to St. John's, which is a school right near my area. Amir Garrett also has the balls to do what he did against the Pirates. Freaking savage. So Amir Garrett is my favorite pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. Now for the Brewers, my favorite position player is Christian Yelich. Thank God he got out of Miami somehow. He took a very team-friendly deal this offseason. Dude is a stud. Has to work on his defense a little bit. But if he does that, he was even in the MVP conversation. Probably could have won it even though he was injured at the end of the season. Christian Yelich, my favorite player for the Milwaukee Brewers. And for the pitcher, it's going to be Josh Hader. Haderade. Probably the best closer in the National League. Dude is a stud. Throws extremely hard. Has tremendous break on his pitches. Love watching him pitch. Josh Hader is my favorite pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates. We don't got many options here. My favorite position player is going to be Josh Bell. Josh Bell is a very consistent power hitter. You can guarantee he can hit 40-45 home runs for you with a good OPS. I like that about a player. So Josh Bell is my favorite position player for the team. And for the pitchers, I'm going to go with... I really do not know who I'm going to go with here. I guess go with Chris Archer. Thank you for being the biggest trash player to get overhyped. God damn. How did the Rays get away with trading you for those top prospects? How did they get away with that? That's insane to me. But Chris Archer, I guess, is my favorite pitcher because they don't have many options. Next up, we have got the St. Louis Cardinals. My favorite position player is going to be Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt, probably the most underrated player in the MLB for a while. He was a beast in Arizona. A beast. And no one talked about him. Paul Goldschmidt is my favorite position player. And Andrew Miller is my favorite pitcher. Former Yankee. I still want him back in New York. I miss him. I think a lot of New Yorkers miss him. Andrew Miller is my favorite pitcher for the Cincinnati Cardinals. The Arizona Diamondbacks, as we are coming down to our final division. This video is already long as hell. I'm sorry if you guys are getting bored at this point. Ketel Marte is my favorite position player for this team. He by far was the biggest he came on the strongest since probably Yasiel Puig. He came onto the scene like he bursted onto the scene. It's crazy how fast that happened. So Ketel Marte is my favorite position player, and for the pitchers, it's probably going to be Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen, as in Mark's video, he says, I agree with him as he said that this guy has the potential to be a Cy Young winner. This guy has tremendous stuff, hard break on his pitches, and he also has Mad Bum to put under his wing. So Zach Gallen is my favorite Diamondback pitcher. Now for the Colorado Rockies, Nolan Arenado is my favorite Rocky. I really hope at some point he can just get himself out of Colorado. He signed that massive deal thinking they were going to push for a championship, and all they've done for him is just get rid of all his pitching. They don't have much pitching there, and I feel very bad for him. The best third baseman in the MLB by far. There's no debate. It's him. Nolan Arenado is my favorite Colorado Rockies position player. And for the pitchers, I'm going to go with German Herman Marquez. He seems like he has a lot of promise coming into this rotation. It's tough pitching in Colorado, and when I see a good pitcher in Colorado, I give him a lot of respect, and he is just that. So Herman Marquez, I don't know how to say his first name. I don't know if it's German or Herman Marquez or something like that, but Marquez is my favorite pitcher for the Colorado Rockies. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, my favorite position player is Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger is a beast, no question about it. Man's won the MVP last year. He is amazing. 5'2" guy. Cody Bellinger, my favorite position player. And my favorite pitcher is the Yankees' favorite pitcher to hit off of, David Price. David Price is the definition of the Yankees bitch. Man sucked against the Yankees. I love that. So David Price is my favorite Dodger pitcher. Next up, we've got the Colorado Rockies, and my favorite position player for them is Fernando Tatis Jr. He is an up-and-coming stud. He will be an MVP candidate within the next couple years. I would put money on him being an MVP candidate within the next 2 years. This man is a stud at shortstop, has power, has contact. He is a great fielder, has tremendous speed. So Fernando Tatis is my favorite position player, and my favorite pitcher for this team is Kirby Yates. Kirby Yates in the running for best relief pitcher in the NL. I still think Josh Hader has it. I'm sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice right now. But he is a stud going behind the plate. People have to start talking about him a little bit more. He is an underrated stud in this league. And for the final team we are going to do today, it is the San Francisco Giants. We have got, as my favorite position player, it's going to be Evan Longoria. Man's did a lot for Tampa Bay. I got to watch him. I hated him, but I have to respect his game. He was a beast out in Tampa Bay. Led them on that great playoff run. So Evan Longoria is my favorite position player. And for pitchers, it's going to be Johnny Cueto. I loved his motion pitching where he turned his back to the batter and threw it. That always seemed very interesting to me. So Johnny Cueto is my favorite pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. And that's going to conclude this video. This was a very long one, but I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you did, leave a like down below. If you're new here, hit that sub button. I do MLB content like this all the time. You don't want to miss it. So subscribe down below. Hit that notification bell. Comment down below your favorite pitcher and position player on your favorite team, and tell me who your favorite team is. And I'm out of here. Peace.